I've been doing a lot of work with different companies, and one that comes to mind is ClassLink, that has been able to really rethink how they've marketed and how they're communicating not only with present customers, but trying to reach out in this void to K-12 districts that perhaps have not learned about the resources that ClassLink provides. And one of the things that they came up with was to begin a blog series with a group of professional CTOs, and they asked me to be one of those. And so we've been writing a series of blogs. My first one was on funding, and I just finished one on data privacy, security, and then one on infrastructure. And so what they've been able to do is use not only their social media channels, but ask their team of advisors that are working on the blogs to ask us all to share copiously through all of our social media channels, and then asking their customers to retweet to Facebook, to LinkedIn, to Instagram, a certain blog that they liked. And it's been a tremendous success because they reached down into the community of EdTech professionals that are in the middle of the trenches and working through this, and the response has been huge.
I think especially during this time, it could have been really great for EdTech companies who strategize on their marketing in a way. So for instance, if you are reaching out around January, February, and you didn't hear any responses back, first of all, the schools are trying to figure out which students have access to a device. So if your product requires a device and they realize their students don't have access to that, then their main concern isn't your product. Their main concern is making sure they have the resource for their students, for the faculty and the parents. So I think just really knowing the timing of communicating and how you communicate. So I think at the end of the day, when you are selling a product, you're also selling yourself. So you're representing your company, whether you're their sales rep or whether you're the founder. Is it really aligning with impact? And if so, then listen to your consumers. Right now isn't the time. So I think people remember that. People remember you and people remember stories. So in terms of marketing, I think just to be very mindful of how you communicate. Yes, you may just had funding or investor just gave you, a bunch of money, and now you're like, oh, I need to start selling now. Well, guess what? Take the bullet now, and it'll really help in the long run. A company an EdTech startup that I've really enjoyed watching, especially during this time, is EdQuity. EdQuity provides emergency financial aid to students. And when COVID had hit, rather than advertising their product, they decided we're going to raise a fund to provide students with additional food and resources, given this is where the economy is. We're not going to talk about a product, although our mission is student impact and access. They really stay true to that. And I think as educators, we look for products that stay true to who we are and what we are passionate about. And we want to see that in the product, not just a cold call, email, outreach.
There's some pieces you have to think about when it comes to your reputation in the space, in education. Where have you been? Where are you going? We're certainly with COVID, we've moved past the kind of panic moment. And I do think schools are starting to look at some of these bigger issues. And it's important to really take that long-term view when you're communicating and making sure that people understand what your brand stands for, what your reputation is in the marketplace, and thinking about how you make changes and actions that solve the problems of schools and school leaders now, but also strengthen your relationships with the community and build your brand awareness and your reputation up at the same time. There's also, as Cheryl mentioned, ClassLink. I think that there's a real opportunity now to raise other voices. So as companies are thinking through how to talk about some of the issues, the societal issues and unrest that we're going through, it's a perfect opportunity to partner or to, find your core users, your passionate leaders and educators, and bring those voices to the forefront.
Being part of Twitter conversations or just watching to see how the conversation is going, because the thought leaders in the space are going to be utilizing these platforms, right? They're going to be utilizing Twitter. They're going to start doing Instagram live Q&As. Just a thought there. If you haven't done that already, that's a way to keep the conversation engaging. And so someone can also see your personality too. They're not just seeing the traditional communication of you just trying to sell the product.